The late 12th century witnessed the rise of two extraordinary figures destined to clash in a conflict that would shape the course of history: Saladin and Baldwin IV. Saladin, born Yusuf ibn Ayyub, was a Kurdish Muslim of noble lineage. He rose to prominence as a military commander, eventually consolidating his power to become the Sultan of Egypt and Syria. Known for his strategic brilliance, unwavering ambition, and reputation for chivalry, Saladin emerged as the champion of Islam against the encroaching Crusader states. On the other side of the religious and political divide stood Baldwin IV, King of Jerusalem. Ascending the throne at the tender age of 13, Baldwin's reign was tragically marked by a debilitating enemy leprosy. The disease, incurable at the time, ravaged his body but could not diminish his spirit. Baldwin IV, despite his physical suffering, proved to be a shrewd and courageous leader, earning the moniker the Leper King. These two men, Saladin and Baldwin IV, were figures of immense historical significance. Their lives and deeds have captivated historians and storytellers for centuries, embodying the complex realities of faith, ambition, and the enduring struggle for power in the heart of the Holy Land. To understand the clash between Saladin and Baldwin IV, one must delve into the broader context of the Crusades. These religious wars, spanning over 2 centuries, pitted Christian Europe against the Islamic East in a bitter struggle for control of the Holy Land, particularly Jerusalem. The First Crusade, launched in 1095, had resulted in the establishment of Crusader states in the Levant, much to the dismay of the Muslim world. Jerusalem, sacred to both Christians and Muslims, became a focal point of this conflict. For Christians, it was the city of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection, a site of immense religious significance. For Muslims, it was Al-Quds, the noble sanctuary, home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, the site where Muslims believed the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The Second Crusade, intended to bolster the Crusader states, ended in failure, further emboldening Muslim resistance. By the time Saladin and Baldwin IV came to power, tensions were at a boiling point. Both leaders inherited a legacy of conflict, their destinies intertwined in an inevitable struggle for supremacy. The rivalry between Saladin and Baldwin IV reached a fever pitch in 1177 at the Battle of Montgisard. Saladin, at the height of his power, led a large Muslim army into the Kingdom of Jerusalem, aiming to deliver a decisive blow. Baldwin IV, despite his deteriorating health, mustered his forces to meet the challenge. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the young king refused to back down. What transpired was a stunning victory for the outnumbered Crusaders. Baldwin IV, a tactical genius even in his weakened state, exploited Saladin's overconfidence. He led a surprise attack on the Muslim camp, throwing Saladin's forces into disarray. The victory sent shockwaves through the Muslim world, cementing Baldwin's reputation as a brilliant military commander and a staunch defender of Christendom. Montgisard was more than a military victory. It was a symbolic triumph of faith and resilience against seemingly insurmountable odds. The Leper King had defied death and defeated a powerful enemy, becoming a legend in his own time. The resounding defeat at Montgisard forced Saladin to reconsider his strategy. He realized that a swift and decisive victory against the Crusader kingdom was unlikely, especially with Baldwin IV at the helm. Baldwin too recognized the need for a respite. His illness was progressing, and the kingdom needed time to recover from the constant warfare. In 1180, Saladin and Baldwin IV agreed to a truce, a temporary cessation of hostilities. This truce, however, was not a treaty of peace. It was a strategic pause, a chance for both sides to regroup and prepare for the inevitable renewal of conflict. The underlying tensions remained unresolved, the struggle for Jerusalem far from over. During this period of relative peace, both leaders focused on consolidating their power and influence. Saladin continued to unify Muslim territories, while Baldwin IV grappled with internal political struggles and the ever-present threat of his own mortality. The truce, while providing a brief respite from bloodshed, did little to quell the fundamental religious and political differences that fueled the conflict. Tragically, Baldwin IV's reign was cut short. Leprosy, relentless in its advance, finally claimed the Leper King in 1185. His death triggered a succession crisis in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, further weakening its already precarious position. Baldwin V, his young nephew and heir, ascended the throne but died a year later. The Crusader state, once a beacon of Christian power, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. Saladin, ever the opportunist, recognized the vulnerability of the Crusader kingdom. He exploited the political instability, launching a series of strategic campaigns aimed at chipping away at the Crusaders' remaining territories. With each victory, Saladin tightened his grip on the Holy Land, his ultimate goal, the recapture of Jerusalem, drawing ever closer. The death of Baldwin IV marked a turning point in the balance of power. The Crusader states, leaderless and divided, were ill-prepared to face the resurgent might of Saladin's unified Muslim forces. The stage was set for a final, decisive confrontation that would determine the fate of Jerusalem.